Welcome to another edition of 42 Stories Anthology Presents. I'm your host, Bam, and today we have a special guest, one of the writers of the book. Why don't you give yourself an introduction, Danny?
My name is Danny Getzoff. I am a writer. I wrote one of the fight um, stories and was the winner of that category. It feels a little weird to just announce that myself. You're supposed to say that. So I got to write another little bit, which was cool. And yeah.
I'm glad that you pointed out that I'm supposed to say that because the whole reason I started saying to authors in these videos that go ahead and introduce yourself is because my fiance was watching one of these videos and she said, "What's wrong with you? You need to let them do it."
Okay,
And I
well,
went, no,
phew.
I think that they're gonna want me to introduce them because that's how it goes, a host introduces someone. And she said, no, these are writers, they want to talk about themselves. And I go, okay, fine. So
They want to endlessly talk about themselves.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that people also like to be introduced, and yeah, it's great that you mentioned the fight category and winning that, and I wanted to mention that too. But I went, no, I'm going to just see how this goes and let people introduce themselves for a while. And you're the first to finally say it's my job, so thank you. Uh, but about that story, why don't you give it a read so that people
Oh,
know what to
sure.
look forward to in the book?
Let me find it. All right. So they took my unicorns away from me forever. Some boys yanked down my shorts at recess, sharpied faggot across my butt cheeks. Yolanda told. Vice Principal Fairweather averted his gaze. Nothing to see here. Missed the bus, late for chores. For the beating, Dad pulled my shorts down again and read aloud.
Yeah, I think the ending has this sort of coldness that anybody could read and relate to, and I'm pretty sure that's why your story was so well liked. It's because any person can look at that and just I think they feel like they're that character in a way where they
Yeah.
relate to being bullied and just humiliation, no matter who they are, and
Yeah,
that's what's great about it.
it
In 42
it
words.
was in it was it was interesting because initially when you guys came back that the reviewers had suggested that I change that word,
Oh,
the word faggot, and not put it on there.
mm,
And it's funny because, just being sort of an emerging writer without like a lot of publications under my belt or whatever. I just, that I had that instinct to just be like, okay, yeah, whatever it takes. But I really felt strongly that actually, I mean, I'm glad there's an identification, right? But
mm,
that the specifics of that word and the sort of shame around it, I think was absolutely the crux of the piece. And it was interesting because I remember one of the reviewers had said that they were concerned that that someone might laugh, like they might think that's funny.
mm,
And I thought, wow, it's just interesting. Like you can be a writer and you can have like a really strong intention about like how you want uh, someone to feel when they're reading your writing or how you expect something to be interpreted, but you just don't really have any control over it.
mm,
And if that reaction is what happens to someone, then you know.
yeah,
But like you said, I think more people would identify, they would hopefully like have some sort of reflection, right? Where they would go like, I identify in some way, either being bullied or being a bully or um, having empathy for, a sector of the population that might be have experienced bias or violence or abuse, or at sometimes at the hands of the people that are meant to uh care for them.
Mm. Yeah,
So
definitely. And for me, I was probably bullied daily in junior high school. So when I read your story, I went, yeah, I mean, I was bullied too. I hear you. And so it happens.
yeah, I
And it's
mean,
relatable.
and you can be bullied with that word without actually, I mean, what does that word really mean, right? It has a very specific meaning, but it's like it's because it's a slur and an insult.
Yeah.
It doesn't, what is the truth of that word? What does that mean? Like, if you're gay, does that mean you're a faggot? And if you're not, does it mean that you're not? And if somebody calls you that, certainly, like, they're saying something about you that says you're not right, you're not normal, you're not. And even if, like, what that truth is, because certainly, like, the first time that I was ever called that, like, I wasn't like deciding about like my sexual orientation. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like, oh, is that really something true about me? It was just, I got, you don't, the word has a meaning, but you don't necessarily understand, like, all of the, well, I mean, you don't understand your future because you're in your present, right? And you're prepubescent, so you're probably not even thinking.
Mm.
But yeah, it's violence, right? It's an expression of violence. And yep.
Mm. Yeah, totally understandable. I think I was called the word when I was a kid. And when someone said that to me, I said, you just want me to be because you're interested in me. And that kind of flipped the whole thing. But that's just kids. And then
Yeah.
whenever someone would try to punch me, I'd say, yeah, you just want to touch me. And they would kind of back up. And they really, and I saw people kind of think about it. And I go, yeah, think about, why are you violent to someone? Is it because you have something hidden inside that you don't know anything about? And maybe that's why people want to punch each other and they don't even think about it. And yeah, you never know. But mm,
Yeah. I mean, I think that there's, especially as a kid, you walk into a room, like, in the age that you're talking about, which is sort of like what I was thinking
junior
this
high
is
school.
middle school,
Yeah.
right? And like, because when you're a little kid, you don't necessarily view the world, you don't have self-awareness, right? I mean, you are the world. And when you're in middle school, I think you start to have that experience that only gets intensified in high school, where you walk into a room and you're like, where am I in the pecking order?
Yeah.
You know? And I think I have shame about how I grew up, in terms of like who I was, and
Mm.
and being picked on, and the reasons why I was picked on. And I've had to like struggle with that in adulthood, and like therapy and all that stuff. But I think what I really struggle with, and more than anything, is like the time I was like, oh, I need to find who I perceive as weaker than me, so that I can feel like I'm not the worst,
Mm.
you know.
Yeah.
And uh anyway,
Well, with the
that's
reviewer you
I
mentioned,
guess.
I think what happened with the reviewer you mentioned is that they had a friend who's gay, and when they read the word, they were just turned off. And I think that's what it was, is because they know people like that, and they thought, is this person making fun of them, fun of that situation, or are they
Yeah.
in it? He said it just depends on the reader. I think that if you read it a certain way, it could come off that way. And actually, that's the beauty of having you read it and hearing you read it, because then you know this isn't a
Yeah.
joke. This is, you want people to be aware of an issue, and something that kids go through.
Yeah.
And it's a
And
fight
it's
for
also
them.
the idea of a fight that you didn't start, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Or like there's like a I don't want to like make this have more meaning than it does, but like, like, there's as children, like, you know, you start like this battle of winners and losers, right? And like, what side am I on? Like, who do I ally myself with? And if people are piling on somebody, like, am I a bystander? Do I intervene? Is it
Mm,
safe for me to do so? What do I think of that person? And do I want to stand up for them? Like, uh, yeah, just being in a fight that you didn't start and that the stake in it. It's funny what you said, like having those like great comebacks or whatever. I remember being a kid and sort of, you know, that that sort of ABC after school special, like, oh, just laugh it off. You know what I mean? I remember having people just say, oh, if you laugh, it takes, well, they didn't say takes the power away. I mean, because that I think is a more modern locution, maybe, but I couldn't do that. You know what I mean? Like I just internalized it. That's where I was, you know. So
mm. I hear ya. I was just different in other ways because I always liked women who were really strong and like the kind of the butt kickers. And that's not the alpha guy way. So
yeah,
people saw me as like less than, and I was always treated that way. So that's why
yeah,
I think I could relate to the story personally. Um,
yeah.
but it's just a
I
different
mean, I was definitely a kid uh who most of my friends were girls, and so girls were actually my protectors,
Hmm.
which was useful, but it was also like reinforced,
Yeah.
like my
Well, it's good that you had friends, you know?
yeah. I mean, I look at that little kid and I have empathy for him.
So by the way, are you in California now? I know you're from there, right?
Well, I grew up in New Jersey, but
Oh,
I've lived in LA for my entire adult life, pretty much. But right now, I am in Finland,
oh, okay.
um, in a place called Haukijärvi,
Okay, out of it. Hmm.
at a in at a residency, an artist and writing residency program for a month. So
Wow, that sounds awesome.
yeah, it's amazing.
Hmm.
You can see the snow,
Wow, what a
which
view.
isn't a big deal for people. I mean, I live in LA, so just the
Hmm,
fact that
great.
there's snow on the ground and it's, you know, uh 0 degrees Celsius,
Hmm. No, I'm
trying to
from
do the whole
Texas.
Celsius thing while I'm here.
In
So
Texas, we never see snow. So it's great to see it. In Japan, it might snow here every now and then. So yeah, it's great.
yeah, in LA it never snows. Yeah, so I'm here actually just really focusing on finishing a draft of a novel, my first.
Oh,
Um,
congrats. I think you'll
yeah.
get to it. Yeah, especially since you're doing this whole thing. Hmm.
Yeah, I've done like a few here and there, and yeah, this place is actually it's different from the ones I've been to before because it's more communal. There's a few more people. I mean, there's like I think 12 or 13 of us, and um it's just more communal. So there's more uh I don't, I guess there's more socializing, right? And so then there's more, it's just like a challenge to balance like being with people and getting to know them. And there's like artists, visual artists, performing artists, writers here. And so balancing sort of making meals together and, spending time together there's like a big sauna culture here
Oh,
in Finland. And so there's a sauna, like a sauna in the place, which is just very normal, just the average person, I think there's more saunas here than people or
I've
something. There's
heard that
statistic.
about Finland.
And then there's a public sauna, which most of us went to last week, which was incredible because it's like right on this lake, and you go in the sauna and you just get real hot and then you jump in the lake. And my LA, I mean, I knew that this was like a thing. This was like a cultural thing, and I'm definitely a person that like I couldn't live with myself really and like come to a place like this and not do the thing. And I'm also like, consider myself like sort of brave, even though for some people that is not brave, but jumping in water that's um we looked it up after it's 39 degrees. I'm glad I didn't know the number. I mean, I
Yeah.
knew it wasn't freezing because there was no ice, but yeah, so just like in and out and having that experience. So I'm having like these, like just connecting with people and having that, but also, really spending a lot of time working. And it's hard to say no, you know what I mean? When
Yeah.
everyone is doing stuff and, you know,
Well, it
it's
also
just,
sounds like there's a sense of accountability there because it's for writing and artist work. So that's great.
yeah. And it's accountability in the sense of like you're here and you you're going to make the opportunity like what it's supposed to be, but it's very relaxed. There's no pressure from the it's not like a program. Do you know what I mean? There's no
Yeah.
like mentors, and we do have opportunities to share our work with each other, but you could just come here and chill for a month and get whatever you needed out of that. But that's sort of not my personality. I mean, I'm like ADHD all over the place, and so, but I'm also like sort of a rule follower, and so and like I don't and squandering an opportunity. You apply somewhere, you submit, submit your work, you get assessed, you get a place, and then like for me, like I'm not like to me to squander the opportunity would be to not be productive.
Okay. Well,
Um,
before I forget, please send me the info because I'll definitely do this someday. It sounds
oh
awesome.
yeah,
Yeah. What's
I
the
will
program
definitely.
called?
What's that?
What's the program called?
Oh, it's called Artilus Creative Center.
Okay. Because it sounds
Yeah.
great. You're really selling it well for them. I hope they give you some props in the video. Yeah. For writers and artists, it just sounds like something that anyone interested in traveling and has a craft can do. So yeah. Mm.
Yeah,
But you also
it's
mentioned that you're from New Jersey. My dad was from Metuchen. Do you know the city?
I know it, like I know sort of like it's in this other
Mm.
it's like not central Jersey, or it is sort of north. Yeah. I mean, I'm from North Jersey. I'm from Passaic County.
You said
Metuchen,
North
yeah.
Jersey?
I've heard of it. I sort of know where it is. But I'm from North Jersey.
Okay. Where in North Jersey?
Passaic County.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now that you're in Finland, where are you finding your writing space? Like the best place for you?
Well, one of the great things about being here is that, so I have my own space. This is like my living writing space right here.
It's huge.
And then there's like sort of these open studios where everybody has like a place that's sort of in a more of a communal area. And when I first got here, I was just like, oh no, like I couldn't possibly, like I said, I'm like ADHD central. So it's just like I see movement and I'm just gonna go like that. And so, because I don't take medication because I would abuse it and whatever. That's just a whole other part of my history. But anyway, I have found that like I put my headphones on, my noise canceling headphones, and
Oh,
and I can be in that space and but yeah, but like I'd said in my interview thing, I have my space at home is I have this closet, it's a 1920s building in Los Angeles. And so the right behind my desk sort of floats in the living room.
Mm.
Beyond, there's a closet behind me that used to be a Murphy bed. And
Okay.
so I can like wheel and to get, my printers there, and like I have some bookshelves there, and but it's like this, and it's also my Zoom thing, and I have my bicycle hanging right behind me, which, is very good for my Zoom space because I ride a bike a lot and I write about riding. Um, and yeah, so that's my space.
Okay. All right, let's start with some icebreaker questions then. Tell me a few of your favorite things.
Yeah, it's so funny, in that little part of the interview,
Hmm.
I get so hung up on stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I get, I find like it's just always interesting to think of like listening to music, for instance, and how easily influenced I've been in my life, and in a good way, right? Where you're just like, oh, it's just like to listen to music like outside of a context of
Yeah.
identity or time period, or yeah, I'm not great at answering direct questions like that.
Okay. Then how about
um
something more specific, like books you might like or authors?
well uh something that really struck me recently was I read the book Paradise by Toni Morrison. And it was a book that a very close friend of mine had given me. And uh, and I started it like, I mean, several times.
Hmm.
And it has like it has, oh, I should have looked this up before the interview, but it has one of the best first lines of a book I've ever heard, and it's, they killed the white girl first, and then I can't remember the rest of the sentence, and then they came for the rest of us, or something like that.
Hmm.
um I should look it up. But anyway, I couldn't get through it. It was a book that was just so difficult, right? And so it just sat on my nightstand. And I also felt like, here's this writer who has been such a great influence. She's this African American woman, won all these prizes, like just this revered person. And like, I should read this book. And I finally, it was the pandemic, and
Hmm.
it was September of 2020, and I needed to get out of town, and I went to an Airbnb in in a town in Orange County, by the beach, called Laguna Beach. And I just got into an Airbnb, and I was just like, I needed to be near the beach, and I brought the book with me, and it was the only book that I brought with me.
Oh.
And I read it, and I loved it. And I also, it gave me like this great sense of accomplishment that I had read it. Um, and then I Googled, because it was just like, the book is just so rich and so open to interpretation that like I was just like, what is it? Yeah, I just wanted to know more about it. I wanted to know like what she said about it.
Hmm.
And I wanted, I guess, some sort of confirmation that it was difficult, right?
Hmm.
So um so I found out that it is difficult. I'm not the only person that thought that. And so um in in an interview that I read with her, the about about the book, the journalist said, oh, this is, made a comment about it being a difficult book, and she, her reaction to it was like pretty dismissive, or very, like, obviously she wasn't crazy about hearing that. And then she said something to the effect of like, I have confidence in my readers.
Mm. Yeah.
And um and I feel like what I took out of that, the novel that I'm writing is not, it's not structured in sort of, it has, it's a challenging book. Um and there's this part of me, and again, I'm not like comparing myself to Toni Morrison or anything like that, but just like reading this book and knowing and challenging myself to read it, it sort of gave me more permission to be true to what I was writing.
Mm.
And the fact that like, just because I'm like a neophyte in terms of being a novelist, um, that I can write a book that might be challenging, that isn't straightforward. That's not how my brain works. It's just not what comes out. And anyway, so I guess in a sense, that is one of my favorite books because it was something that seemed insurmountable. And then, like, what I got out of it was a sense of accomplishment, but also uh, a sort of confirmation that I was on my own right path. And since then, I've read like three other of her books. And yeah.
Mm.
And
Mm.
it's funny because I make myself read books that are hard
Yeah.
because I feel like it makes me more deserving of writing things that, that are not sort of very straightforward.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
I've read, there's another couple favorite books that I've read recently are by Ruth Ozeki. I don't know if you know who she is because of I mean, she's Japanese Canadian, I think, or maybe Japanese American.
I've heard of her before. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
The
maybe
book
some
of
haven't.
Form, the Book of Form and Emptiness,
Mm.
and what was the other one? She apparently wrote both of these at the same time, and they were meant to be um, one book, but she cleaved them. The Book of Form and Emptiness, and um, yeah, I can't remember the other one.
Mm. No worries. By the way, I looked up that line, and it's they shot the white girl first, but the rest they can take their time.
Take
No
their
need
time
to
with.
hurry out here. That's the line. I probably didn't read it
Say it
as well
again
as
because I started talking through it.
oh, excuse me. I probably didn't read it that well anyway the first time, so a second time's better. They shot the white girl first, but the rest they can take their time. No need to hurry out there. Out here. I'm reading it wrong. No need to hurry out here. Yeah, a lot of help these glasses are doing. So yeah,
A Tale for, okay, and I just looked up the other Ruth Ozeki book is A
what's that?
Tale for the Time Being.
Okay.
That was the first of the two.
Hmm, great. Yeah,
So,
I have to look that up.
when you read something and you just go like, it's like what's that thing we only use 10% of our brain? It's like I'm only understanding it with like a certain percent of my brain because there's just so much. I think I'll probably eventually read both of these books again.
Hmm, yeah.
Um,
I wonder how Toni Morrison would have reacted whenever I hear someone say $5 word. I think how about mediocrity for one? You know? So yeah, she's right though. Your readers should just get that. If they're into you, then they're gonna like you, and if they're not, then they're not. And that's
yeah,
what I really respect about her work is that if you get it, you get it. If you don't, then you're not her reader. And she knows
yeah,
that there are people out there who are her reader, and that was a gift. Yeah, that kind of statement.
yeah. I
So yeah,
mean, it's
don't worry. You're if your writing's too intelligent, then the writers who are intelligent readers, the
I
readers
didn't
who
say it was intelligent.
are uh,
It's just it's like a non-traditional structure.
okay,
But like I said, like I've been reading tons of books that have made me go, "Oh, I can absolutely do what I'm doing,"
okay,
you know. And so it's a great, like I said, it's a good confirmation.
Mm.
Um, it's also like this idea of terminal uniqueness, like, oh, it's not like I was thinking like, oh, I'm so unique and no one would ever get me and it's just so special or so whatever. It's not like that. It was just more like, can I do this? Am I allowed to do this? That
Mm.
sort of thing. It's
Yeah.
just, as writers and artists, like, it's funny, someone I was at a residency with recently, and I can't quote her, but she was reading to us to the group that was there from her novel about, and her writer is a main character. I mean, her main character of her novel is a writer, and that character talks about how nobody is asking us to do this as writers. Sure, I guess if you're like a best-selling author and you have an agent and they're like, come on, where's the next book? But that's like how many writers are having that experience. For the rest of us, it's like no one is asking us to do this. And no one asked no one asked Toni Morrison to do it, before she became who she is, or Hemingway, or, Ruth Ozeki, or anybody. Like no one was like, you should do this thing. Um, or I expect you to write this novel. So, yeah, we have to create it for ourselves, give ourselves the permission to do it.
That's a good way to phrase it. Give yourself permission. In Hemingway's case, though, he was trying to get rid of the voices. That's why he liked to listen to other people and drink. Was he had a little bit of a problem getting rid of the voices, and that they were the ones telling him to write. But I think what he turned out with was pretty good. And these are people that I ended up studying about in university. A lot of people did, so they were great writers. You know, but
Yeah.
that's how it could be if you just keep at it. Um, but maybe something a little less deep. How about food and drinks? What's your go-to?
Uh, Spinach.
Okay. Funny you should say
It's
that. I had spinach for lunch.
I enjoy spinach in all of its forms. I like it raw, I like it cooked, I like it overcooked, I like it in things, I like it when it's stuffed in things.
Hmm.
Uh, I'm also a big fan of salmon in all its forms.
It's great in Japan. They have the freshest fish. But I think
Yeah.
in Finland, I've heard that it's good there too.
Yeah, I mean, I guess fish feels like its days are numbered, when you like read shit that you don't want to read.
Yeah.
Uh, anyway, I mean, of all the things that are going to kill me, I guess whatever, heavy metal and fish, but I don't want to be someone that's over, contributing too much to overfishing.
Hmm.
Um, and drink, uh, I am a recovering addict, so I don't drink alcohol, but I love a good virgin mojito.
Okay.
You
Hmm.
know, I like soda water, lime, a little bit of sweet, and I don't know what else would go in there, but because it's not something I make for my mint, duh. And cucumber. I like drinks like that.
Okay. Yeah.
And a little jalapeno.
Something with a little punch.
Can I please have one? Yeah, can I? Yeah, it would be so great to just like have that appear right
Hmm.
now.
Yeah. The future, we'll all have it like the Jetsons did. And then we'll get that.
Yeah, or at least it'll be just like virtual.
Hmm. So, how about music? Do you play music when you're writing, or do you save it for your off time? And what do you like?
Well, I the I run a lot, and I listen to a lot of music
Oh,
when I run.
okay.
Uh, and so I've had this sort of decades long uh searching for, like, you know what I mean, for like like playlists. It's so great because you can just make them as long as you want, and like, you know music to work out to. So I think I use music more in that way, like in terms of creatively. just the way I can't have too much stimulus happening at the same time. I wear these most of the time when I'm writing just because I want to block out ambient noise. But sometimes I do listen to music when I'm writing. I mean, with this novel that I'm working on, uh the character I was just working on. It's actually the novel is a fictional character writing his own memoir and trying to encourage his reader that he's an authentic person, that he's actually a real person and a reliable narrator because of experiences he has in his life that say otherwise, but also there's a meta-ness to it that he is a fictional character. But anyway, so I was writing a little bit about his high school years recently, and so I was listening to some of the bands that he lists as, you know, like his that he discovered. And some of them are overlap with me, like Patti Smith and the Beastie Boys and Bauhaus and the Buzzcocks and so we have like some overlap, me and this character. But also like another significant thing that I do in the novel, not significant in the only significant in the piece of work, is that he makes a mixtape. And so I have a mixtape in there, and there's like, and hopefully there's going to be like a visual of it. And in he so he lists all the songs, and then he has a rationale for including each of the songs. And so I've made this mix, and I listen to that occasionally while I'm writing. But yeah, sometimes I use it to set a mood, and then sometimes it's just like complete silence. How's
Okay.
that for a simple answer? I mean, an answer, like I said, like I'm not very good at answering just simple questions.
No, that was great because you even worked it into how it fits into your writing, and it makes a lot of sense that sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I haven't heard a lot of people say that it depends on their mood, and that does make a difference, I think, or what they're doing, like contextualizing music. That's great.
Yeah, and I write for a living too. Like I'm a grant writer. I write grants for public health programs pretty
Oh,
much. So uh and I find it like, yeah, it just depends. I mean, I was gonna say like, oh, I can write when I can write that stuff when I'm listening to music, but then it just depends, you know? It just depends, I think, on how functional your brain is, and I guess what the task is, you know?
okay. Okay, another random question. How about some of your favorite islands and beaches?
Uh, I have a couple that I can say. One is Slaughterhouse Beach in Maui,
Oh,
in West Maui. And um,
I'll take a note because I'm gonna go there for my honeymoon next year.
oh my God, yeah. Well, what time of year are you going?
We're gonna go around March, so it's actually in two
Okay.
years. Then
Oh, okay.
yeah, because the
Well,
wedding's
because
September, and then in March we're gonna go to Hawaii.
okay. Because like the beach actually disappears in the summer, or
Oh,
like a lot of it does. But yeah, I went there with my partner the first time. I mean, I'm not like a board surfer, but and just the waves were like um that edge, like that, like they were big enough to be scary, but not too big that you're gonna break your neck. Um, and there, so that's one beach. And then the other beach that I thought of, and was interesting, like, talking about Temple, because my dad's from Philly and my mom, both of my parents actually went to Temple in the 60s and early 60s. But and I'm from North Jersey, but I grew up going to the shore, down the shore, and that's what we say in New Jersey. Um, to the Atlantic City area, which is more where people from Philly go to because it's more south and closer to Philly. And my grandparents, when I was growing up, they lived in Margate City, which is right outside Atlantic City. And so that was sort of like the beach of my childhood, and the beach where my grandma would like have like the bag of grapes that she would have in a little bag, and the saltwater taffy and the fudge. And I don't know. There's also this elephant on the beach in a hotel, something that used to be a hotel. Now it's just like a little tourist thing. But there's an elephant called Lucy the elephant. You should look that up. It's
Yeah.
very cool. And as a kid, I was just so fascinated with it. I never ever went inside it. Because I think when I was little, they weren't letting people inside. I don't know if they still do, or if they still don't or do or whatever. But anyway. Those are some of the beaches.
Mm. So these days, how do you relax?
I'm zen as fuck right now
All
here,
right.
which is like, I mean, this, I don't know, like I am definitely like I run anxious. Like that's sort of my default, I guess. And here there is silent meditation that happens twice a day for a
Oh.
half hour.
Hmm.
Yeah. And And so I've been doing it once a day in the morning. And meditation is something, like I mentioned before, like I'm a recovering addict. And so, part of a 12-step program, it's not required or whatever, but it's like meditation is, um, it's in there, right? As a way of sort of listening, taking a moment and really listening. And I always have said that I can't sit still. That's what I was told as a child. And so you know, and and so yeah, there's something to be said about like the repetitive movement that I've done, like with cycling and running. And I do get a lot of relaxation. That's like definitely mental health services right there for me. It's a way that helps me relax. And I always said sitting meditation wasn't something that I'd be able to do, but in this context, I've been able to do it. So it's been sort of exciting, I guess, to exciting in a Zen way. And again, I'm just using the word Zen, just co-opting it, not really, even though the practice that it's like a sitting zazen, like very silent, like not moving, just being in the moment, whatever meditation style that's happening here. So I found that I've been able to sit for 30 minutes at 8 o'clock every morning. And so that's how I've been relaxing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I reacted to that positively because well, we meditate about once a week together. Right? We do like a couples meditation thing,
Oh,
my
sweet.
partner and I. And so she got me into meditating, and I think it's a great new hobby. I did it when I was really young, but stopped like for about 10 years, and now she got me back into it. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. Mm. Um, so about animals, I want to ask you, what's the best animal on Earth?
The fox.
Yeah.
I identify with the fox. I l- I like foxes because they have like a mixed reputation. Um, and again, like I'm not co-opting any other cultures or stories or whatever. It's just stuff that sort of hit me, you know. And anyway, it's just like the fact that they're like clever and cunning, and there's a connotation to that that can be maybe, I guess, negative. I just think I think the idea of a fox and what like he represents to me is just this idea of like our characteristics, our traits as humans, they all have like a flip side, right? And so, whereas someone might be um like have a lot of creative, like let me just speak for myself, like in my identification with the fox, like I'm a creative person, I'm an imaginative person, like I mean, I sort of stand by that as like, an asset that I have, but I can also, be a little cunning, and I've had a history of being liberal with the truth, and um I've gotten myself out of shit or like further into shit by trying to get out of it. And I guess I attribute the fox to that. And then they're fucking cute. So, yeah, so I like foxes. There are foxes around here, and I haven't seen any. They're crepuscular, which is a word that I have finally. Do you know when there's like a word and you hear it a bunch of times and you're just like, why can't I remember what that word means? And I
Yeah.
have to keep looking it up. And it means like of the evening. Does it also mean of the dusk and dawn? Is it dusk and dawn or just is it just dusk? I can't remember, but I know it's definitely evening and they're crepuscular creatures.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the evening here, it's just interesting. It's
As long
just
as it's dark. Yeah,
what's that?
as long as it's dark, then the word applies. Yeah. Just a little nerdy for you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
as
yeah.
far as I know. That's
Well,
just the
they're
number that I
crepuscular and I haven't seen them yet, but it gets dark so early here. So, which has been exciting. I mean, just having snow and cold and darkness has been great. I've been loving it.
Yeah, yeah, the time zone of the nighttime is different there. I forgot all about that. But if you're into foxes, and you ever make it to Japan, definitely check out the shrines. There's one called Fushimi Inari Taisha, and you walk around and there's all these statues, and it's surrounded by foxes. And it's a
Oh,
great shrine
cool.
for someone just like you who loves foxes. So that's in
I do.
the Kansai area, or I guess Kyoto. Yeah, Kyoto.
With my partner, I use the fox emoji that represents me.
Okay.
So,
Hmm. I'll try to work that into the video somehow, or have a thought somewhere. If I get good at editing with Canva, maybe I'll throw one in the video. Who knows? But I think the people who make it sound easy are really underscoring how hard it is to do stuff with Canva. Maybe I'll figure it out.
dude, I don't even know what that is. So
Uh,
you're
it,
ahead.
it's like it's something that you can use to edit videos or anything really. If you want to make a PowerPoint, you could use it to edit. It's nice. Some of my students are great at it, but I just go, okay. It's way over my head so far. But I'll learn it. I think it's just a challenge. Speaking of challenges, I want to move to the next part of this, which is your writing. What's the best way for you to write and to make your craft?
Um, I think that in my experience that I've had thus far, it's like developing. It's almost like what I was saying when we were talking earlier about reading Paradise. Um, I think it's all about giving myself permission and trusting what comes out. And it's not that I mean to say that like every idea that I have or every word that comes out is like so precious and deserves, to see. No, it all deserves to see the light of day, right? It doesn't mean that it needs to be read by other people, but like I'm not a writer's block person. I'm more like it's funny, like I've ridden my bike across the continental United States 3 times, and I'm writing a memoir about my experiences of that. And and basing it on like a couple blogs that I've done that have been about my experiences thus far. And one of the more recent posts, I've been also like writing a lot about writing. It's as I've been sort of writing. um and one of the things that I realize that is just sort of a theme in my work, both uh creative nonfiction and fiction, is like a striving for authenticity, right? Like like being true to the voice of the character, or like my own voice as me. And that how I do that is I'm like a more is more person. Like I'm not less is more. Um, and that's sort of my preference, in art, in movies. Like I like artists, musicians. Um I like more. Do you know what I mean? I just thought of the filmmaker Todd Haynes, and how in a lot of his movies, like I remember reading a review about Far From Heaven, which is this movie that's sort of based on like those 1950s melodramas. There's like a word for them. I can't remember what they are. But anyway, and it's like this interracial love story between this woman in Connecticut, and she's got this like closeted husband. She has like the perfect life, right? She has like this like 1950s like Connecticut perfect life, and her husband is a closet case basically. And then she falls in love with this black um landscaper who and anyway, they have this relationship, and it's anyway, but the plot of it's not important. But this review I read of it was sort of like a snarky, or maybe it wasn't snarky, but it was like something like Todd Haynes basically throws up every idea he has on the screen. And I was just like, oh wow, that's why I love this. You know what I mean? Like that's like and I think like I'm a detail person. Like I I'm interested in like every I'm interested in like the narrative, but then what's under that, and then the like opinion that you have about what you just said, and then under that, and like trying to get, and that's like that's the structure of my novel, right? And so I guess I can't remember exactly what your question is, but that is sort of like how I like to write. That's like how I'm getting to like the true expression of myself as a writer, is like allowing, and again, like that level of detail, right? Like it's like hopefully some people are gonna like that drill down, and some people are gonna be like, I just need a plot. I need something like to happen. Like I need to move through something. Anyway, I don't remember the question, but that's my answer.
Well, yeah, you answered it. The question was, tell me about how you write, I guess. And that's
Yeah.
well, initially it was the best way to write, but I think you really hit it on. You were like, yeah, with many of your points.
Yeah, I think what it's interesting, like doing these residencies that I've done, like, and I've been inspired by the artists that I've been with, in hearing them talk about their work. Because obviously every artist like I'm encountering is a contemporary artist, right?
Mhm.
And obviously not everything that they're doing is like majorly conceptual, but I guess there's something about you know, academia, like being an artist in academia, like that there's like a lot of, people needing to sort of talk about their work. And so, I've been, and there have been now some opportunities for me to do the same. And yeah, so I'm sort of in the process of developing what comes out. I think everything I'm trying to do is like some sort of cross section of like essay, memoir, and fiction, and the interplay between that, like whether it's fictional or not, it's just anyway.
Hmm. Okay. Well, aside from what you're doing now, are you in any current writer groups?
Yeah, so I have been in a twosome, you know, uh me and another writer, the amazing writer Flint is her name. And she and I have been together. It used to be three of us, but shit happens. And we've basically met weekly for 10 years, and we write together. Um, we've never actually collaborated per se, but we have like a check-in where we just sort of check in. And it used to be in person because she used to live in LA and now she doesn't. And but we do it virtually. I've kept it up. We do a check-in. We sort of say what we're gonna work on, and then depending on how much time we have, like anywhere from 2 to 3.5 hours, we'll go off and write and then come back and check out. And sometimes that means, reading something to each other. Um, and it's just about mutual support and accountability. It's not like, I mean, of course, like if there's something that we want feedback on, we'll provide it. But it really is just like about, you know, spending time to get the words out. And then I have two other groups. One is um it's new, and it includes Flint and these two other wonderful writers, um, Hazel and Noriko, both of whom I met at Dorland, which is a residency program in Southern California. And it turns out they knew Flint. And so it was just like this weird coincidence. And so the four of us have been meeting monthly, and that's like an accountability thing as well. And then I have another small group there's just three of us that it was the offshoot of a memoir writing class that was taught by my friend who's also a great writer, uh, Patrick O'Neill. Oh my God, for a second, I forgot his name. Anyway, he's written a couple really great memoirs, um, including being a roadie for the Dead Kennedys and other punk bands. Anyway, that's a plug for his book that I don't know the title of, but Patrick O'Neill, 1L. Anyway, so there's three of us that it started out as five and then four, and then it's just three of us now who meet monthly and share memoir stuff that we're working on. And yeah, and I just met them in person for the first because the class was online, and they're the two of them. They're these amazing women. They're in their late 60s. They've been friends since they've been in their 20s, and they live in Marin County, which is just north of San Francisco. And I just made a pilgrimage up there. Um, and to see friends, and I met them in person, and it was just an amazing day, and they took me all around to these places that they're writing about, and so I got to sort of witness them firsthand. And anyway, so yeah, those are what I'm doing in terms of collaboration and mutual support.
Yeah, it's yeah, the world is your oyster. It sounds like you use it as your oyster, so that's great. It's great for writing and all that. How's your outline process?
um I don't have one per se. The thing about the novel that's sort of like I said, like I just write, right? And like I didn't plan on writing a novel. I had written a play that had been well received. And I was just like, okay, I'm a writer now, so what's next? And so I just had this idea for this character, and he just started speaking, and it was just this prose thing, and just started coming out of me. And then it turned out, and it wasn't until I had maybe 75,000 words, I think, until I realized, like, oh my God, I don't even know what's in here, And like, I mean, I sort of had chapters, but I didn't know where it was going. Um, and so at that point is when I got like I made this board, right? And then I basically said these are the chapters, and I took all these sticky notes, and I had, I got really like super detailed with it, and like OCD, and like, I had like all the different like color combinations of like this sticky note was represented this, because like in the novel there's all these different like genre within there. Like there's poetry, there's like made up song lyrics, there's like a teleplay, there's texts, so, and so I wanted to like see like where all of those elements were. And so he writes about his dreams, and that is in like a different font. And so like I wanted to I wanted to just like see where I didn't know like where's the first mention of this character. So I basically had to work backwards. And then anyway, so that was the outline process. But like with this memoir that I'm working on, I have all of this source material. I have these essays that I've self-published on my two blog sites. And eventually I'm going to have to figure out like, what is this going to be? Is this going to be 3 volumes, or is it going to be like a greatest hits version of all the stuff that I've written? Or is it going to be some sort of, each of these rides that I had, like, has had sort of like a theme, I guess, that has revealed itself. And like, anyway, so this is not my strong suit. I'm not a planner, in that regard. But then I have to figure out like, what is this, and how is this going to be a cohesive project? Um, so yeah,
Well,
like that's not, yeah, hopefully no one's going to listen to this and be like, oh wow, I'm going to like, this dude has taught me a lot of how to like outline shit. Like it's not my strong suit. It's just my process.
well, actually, I think that people could listen and hear a lot about world building, which is really what you talked about, and I think people can identify with that. Is that you're describing a lot of world building in your story, and how it works, and it's not necessarily chronological, but it's going to be there, and you're going to make sure that it exists, what's going on, and it's not some kind of incohesive junk of words. It's something that works together in a story, and that's what I heard you say, that you do a lot with world building and you take time for it. And I think people could get something out of that for sure. And you're underselling yourself. So,
Oh,
so yeah, it's fine.
oh, cool. That's, yeah. I want to sell myself the right amount. Like not oversell, not undersell, right?
Yeah, but
But
definitely sounds like you know what you're doing. So yeah, I think don't sell yourself short. Sell yourself right enough.
yeah, right size.
Tell me about the first story you ever wrote. Was it published?
No, like the first sort of the first thing that I did that I don't know, the thing that popped into my head is I wrote this play that I mentioned earlier. This was like back in 2005, and I'd written some stuff. I used to be an actor, and I was part of theater companies, and I was part of efforts like of like generative work, that comes out of like ensemble building, and um but I'd never actually sat down and written a play. And the process of that was, very interesting. And I I wrote it initially like that. A lot of the source material from the play came from dreams that I had. I was taking these, I mean, classes just sounds sort of weird, but like workshops called dream work, actually. That's what they're called. And I think Sandra Seacat is the name of the person who originally developed this. It's based on Jungian archetypes and philosophy, um, and Kim Gillingham is the person that taught me and sort of teased out a lot of this work. And I ended up writing this play for like a two-hander play, a mother and a son, that had some autobiographical elements to it. And I played the son character, and I wrote the role for another actor to play the mother. Maureen Burns is her name. She died several years ago. Um, and anyway, it's called At Least Until You Die is the name of the play. And anyway, and it's interesting, the process, because it sort of elements of Maureen like really infiltrated that character, and certain specific uh biographical elements of her own life sort of took over. And like, she's from Chicago, and so the characters it ended up taking place in Chicago. And I the only time I'd been to Chicago was once, and I ran the marathon there. So I ran around the city, but like I didn't ever live there. And it was funny too, because we like, Maureen had the accent, and so I was sort of imitating her. And then afterwards, somebody from Chicago said like, "Hey, like, I didn't know you were from Chicago." And I was like, "Yes, but yeah, so that was sort of like my first thing that I felt like I'm a writer now. Like, this is who I do. This is what I do creatively. And I sort of have transitioned away from performing mostly, even though I do like to read my own stuff. Um, uh, but yeah, so that was, I think, the first thing that, it was never published, but it was mounted and performed, produced, reviewed. And yeah, I would like it to have more of a life, but I would have to dust it off and see.
Sometimes the first thing you write can be a great kind of draft into what you do next, and you use stuff like that to place in other places. And yeah, I think one of my books that I submitted it to like 250 agents, even though it won awards and stuff, none of them wanted it. And one of the writers, one of the characters in the story is a writer, and the stories that she wrote, I got published in real life. So that was after this book. And I go, well, that's something that can work. And I ended up using her stories from that book to publish them in real life. So, you could work something like that into it somehow.
Yeah, and you have a pseudonym as well now, I
Yeah,
guess.
that's out there, Shelley McElroy, if you want to look it up. But but
Well, you
speaking
should
of,
sort of do anyway. You have
yeah,
your
well, yeah, I have a bunch of pseudonyms. But what I want to know is where can people find you and your work? Not physically you, but maybe just online.
I'm in Arkijarvi, Finland
Yeah, yeah.
for at least a couple more weeks,
I think
though.
you're on
Yeah,
Instagram.
not feeling. Oh, so on Instagram, I'm at Handlebar Confessional.
Yeah,
That's Handlebar Confessional. Single handlebar confessional.
okay.
And that will be the name of my memoir. And it's also my website, which is handlebarconfessional.com.
Oh,
And
like this, right?
like that, that's it.
It's just like this, exactly. Okay. So yeah, if anyone wants to check out your website, it's here, and it looks like you kind of link to your other things here, your Instagram, and you have.
Yeah, link to my Instagram.
Oh wow, you're serious about cycling. You'd like Japan. There's a cycling scene here that's pretty big. Um,
Yeah, I just, people have always said, "Oh, you would like this place or that place," and I live in a city with where I bike a lot, but there isn't a lot of infrastructure. It's gotten better over time, and I was just in Copenhagen for 4 days, and I
oh,
could not. So it was really my first time being in a city that has like so much infrastructure that people follow the rules.
okay.
So, whereas in LA, it's sort of like, ride, you have to like, oh yeah, and that's my other one. That's my 2009 ride. That was my very first one. That's my partner.
Oh, your first ride. Okay.
Yeah, for some reason, it's so funny. All the thumbnails on there like end up being photos of him. So, but he's
Camera likes
important.
them. I guess. I don't know. The algorithm or whatever. I don't know how it works. But
Yeah. It's also like blog spot, so it's not, you know,
all right, great. So I hope that people check out. Are you there?
a couple of years ago when I was doing my third ride in 2021, and I stopped in Austin to and spent time with friends there, and I was like doing some writing while I was there, and I just had that feeling of like, oh my God, Blogspot is such an old thing. And because then I didn't think of myself as the writer that I think of myself now, and I just wrote those pieces as I was writing.
Oh,
And so I don't have word, I didn't have word versions of them. So at that moment, I was like, oh, this is my next thing. I need to cut and paste all of that into Word just in case that goes away. Um,
okay. Well, while I'm sharing about stuff, could I quickly show you the merch store for the 42 Stories Anthology? It's
hell yeah.
awesome. All right. And I'm not trying to really sell it. It's just that this is kind of how I'm going to have to pay the editors and the artists. I'm trying to through this because I'm a teacher. So I'm either paying them through what I make or through myself. And I still have to pay them. So what I did was I opened up this merch store, and there's a lot of stuff that's inexpensive, like there's stickers for just a couple of bucks.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
and I use different patterns from the anthology logo. I think probably this one has the whole title, which is kind of long. It's 42 characters, 42 stories anthology, um, 42,
Better be.
it's a long title, the actual one. So what is it? Book of 42 Squared presents. Yeah, Book of 42 Squared is the short title. And then 42 Stories Anthology presents Book of 42 Squared. I can't even
Oh,
remember
wow.
it. Yeah, 42 characters. And you can get that from, I think, this logo, perhaps? No, this is just Book of 42. And then maybe it's here. Ah, here. So yeah, the whole title is on this design. And what you do is you scroll down to like different ones. And pretty much whatever you like, you can find here. Like um, and if you're familiar with the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, they don't have a towel, unfortunately, but they have tapestry, which is kind of close. What are your
Wow.
what are your thoughts on that? This
A
tapestry.
pillow. Yeah, I'm
Oh,
gonna go for the pillow.
that thing's pretty cool. I actually have one of those in my cart because I'm gonna get later. Probably the holidays.
Yeah, gifts for all my friends.
Good
It's
idea.
shameless self-promotion.
I also recommend that you do this with your work too, because if you have art and it's your art instead of AI or something, then you can sell it, and that's the benefit of not using AI. Although it's a good tool,
Oh,
I don't think that people should use
interesting.
it to make things. So, like the logo was made by a real artist, and the cover was made by a real artist who was a photographer. So these are things I could sell physically.
Yeah. Yeah, my logo, my handlebar confessional logo on my on my website was made by a friend, but who's a graphic like a real graphic designer. So I don't know. If I made t-shirts out of that, I would have to share the wealth. So
Yeah. Well, it's kind of easy to do. I think Redbubble has a system where you could do all that. Yeah, it's a real easy system because you just put it on and then they sell it, pretty much. Yeah,
Sweet.
yeah, definitely recommend it. I'm glad you got to see it before I kind of announce it in more and more places because I wanted to show it off to the artists and writers. I don't know. I just say artist for writer and artists, you know.
Yeah, that's okay.
But sometimes writers react to that. They're like, I'm not an artist, I'm a writer. And I go, this is art. It's just in words.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, maybe they don't think of their writing as art.
I guess not. But
It is an art. Yeah.
yeah, had a great time talking with you, and thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
And maybe more in the future.